Hello, welcome to the Forge Your Trail podcast. I'm your host, Frank Rodriguez. Today we have as our guest Mr. Alan Bolding. Alan is the owner and creator, founder of a fencing company called Trusted Fence, and he's also a father. Alan, would you mind telling us just a little bit about your children? How many children do you have?
So I have two children with my beautiful wife, Aubrey and Camden. They're 11 and 13. My daughter's the oldest. Both of them are competitive sports athletes. So it's a busy household around the
Busy.
Busy.
Right. And having a 13-year-old teenage daughter is...
It's a blessing and a curse sometimes.
So we're going to talk to Alan about founding his business during the COVID pandemic, which was a hard time. What inspired you to start Trusted Fence, especially right during the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic?
So I decided to start Trusted Fence Company in that time frame because I quit poor leadership, honestly. There was a lot of uncertainty out there, and they couldn't give us answers, but then they also wanted to push us with a lot of high volume, a lot of pressure to get certain things done. And I just honestly was irritated. And so I was, with social media nowadays, I seen there was a demand in the market. A lot of people had additional funds that they normally didn't have, and they wanted to beautify their houses. They had the money to spend at that time. And that allowed me to create Trusted Fence Company. I seen a service and a need, and we provided a service.
I see. Yeah. So, it's been said that people don't necessarily quit jobs. They quit poor leadership. And
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So can you maybe share a little bit about your upbringing and how it influenced your approach to both fatherhood and business?
Absolutely. So I got into building fence because my neighbor and I needed one. And I had two young children at home at the time. They were in diapers. I was the only one working in my household. My wife was a stay-at-home mom. And I told my neighbor I could build the fence. And after the quotes we got from other fence companies,
they're quite costly.
They were very costly. And I told him I could build it. And he said, okay. So I built the fence between him and I, which then led to other neighbors in the neighborhood that knew who I was. They started asking. So around 2017, I started doing small fence repairs and small fence replacements on the side after hours to make extra money for the household.
Was it something you had done before, installing fences, or was that the first time?
That was the first time. I've never built a fence.
Wow.
And so I was a union electrician. I had a great career in that area. But like I said, the leadership from each shop to shop, I just felt was very poor. And I had a lot of problems with, I always kind of was a overachiever is what I wanted to try to be. But if I couldn't get the positive feedback and the energy, that would also make me a poor employee, because if they weren't giving what I was asking, or I didn't feel like I was getting what I needed in return, I just didn't care to be the A-plus player for them.
I understand.
And so that's where I decided that I was not a good employee for anybody, that I'd probably be a better entrepreneur.
Well, it seems like it's worked out for you so far.
It has.
Yeah. But leaving a good solid thing like an electrician, licensed electrician, and then starting your own company, that's a little bit scary, wasn't it?
So, the beautiful part about in today's society is that we have so much information at our fingertips. I never thought I'd ever download Audible. Okay. But I started listening to podcasts, business podcasts. They would start recommending different books. I started downloading those books, and while I was working, I'd listen to those Audible books, and I started building the foundations before I actually needed to go out on my own. So I had a lot of business, information that I put into play. So I felt like I didn't just jump into it with no knowledge at all. I felt like I was gearing myself before I needed to actually take that leap.
So if I understand, you sort of did your own self-study about business before you started the business.
Absolutely.
Very wise. Yeah.
I'm a high school graduate with VOTEC experience. And I just always thought that I could do better than just working for somebody and making just a salary.
Yeah. Excellent. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced when you were launching this business, especially while you're raising a family?
Realizing how many hats I needed to wear. Okay. So, yes, as a business owner and entrepreneur, I have to go sell the job. I have to go build the job. I have to also do the money management side of it. All those, and also all the social media, the posting, the advertising. I didn't realize how many hats I had to wear when I first started off.
Right. And we're not even talking about your father hat.
Exactly. Not even talking about my go at home and be with my kids.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting. How did your family react when you decided that you were going to launch into this new business?
I think my wife is known for quite a while that I had a lot of interest in being my own boss, just from some of the roles I played at other companies and the responsibility I asked for. And so whenever I told her that I was considering doing something along these lines, she pretty much told me to go for it. And she didn't want much to do with it, but she was there to take care of the kids and take care of the household, and that's where we kind of started.
A strong partner to help you.
Absolutely. She takes care of our four walls when I'm outside of it,
Right. So what would you say that your typical day looks like now as a business owner?
So, I prioritize my time so much. It's so important for me to be there for my children when they need me. And that was another big reason leaving the union and the electrical side of it, is that they required so many hours for me to be gone for so long that I didn't want my kids to grow up without a father in the household.
Right.
And so a typical day for me, I've got employees that work for me. They start the shop in the morning. They start loading the trucks and trailers. I'm able to leave the house early in the morning, but not so early. But typically I'm at home by 4 or 5 o'clock at night, so I'm able to still meet what my children need. They need me there at their practices. They need me help them with homework, stuff of that nature. And my wife's right there with me. So, if one child has something to do on one side of town, I'm taking the other child to the other side of town. So a good partner in all of this has really made this a success for me.
Would you mind telling me a little bit about the growth of your company? I assume that when you started out, it was just you, and now you have employees?
Oh, absolutely. The first year I started, I did not have near the tools, equipment, the space to work out of. The first year I kind of was kicking myself thinking, what did I get myself into? And as I started to grow from that first year, I learned that relationships are very important with a banker, with insurance agents, with a CPA and bookkeeper, which that's actually the CPA and bookkeepers new to this year. Up to this point, I was trying to manage and handle my QuickBooks and everything on my own. Do not recommend that.
Yeah.
I honestly recommend, if you're going into entrepreneurship, to definitely get with people that are tax accountants and have them helping you much sooner than what I did. But not knowing what I didn't know, a lot of things have changed in this last. We're coming up on 5 years this March.
And how many employees did you say you have now?
So we fluctuate. Right now, currently, we're going into the winter months. So I have three guys and that's kind of like my core group. Springtime and when we have a lot of the storms and bad weather, we may get up to around 10 guys that work for me.
Okay, I see. So what values do you think that you try to model for your children through your work and through your business leadership?
Honesty, first and foremost. We live in such a instant society now, right? That everything needs to be perfect, everything needs to be quick, and just like I tell this to my employees, we work as fast as we possibly can within reason. And I push those guys as well to have a family life at home. I don't want them to work around the clock. I don't want them to work necessarily weekends and all that stuff. I want them to be present, but mistakes are going to happen. So just be honest and tell me. So that way I don't have to find them out.
Right.
That's probably one of the major ones.
Right. Well, you sort of anticipated a question I was going to ask you is, how does being a father impact the way that you relate to your employees in terms of their parenting and their...
Absolutely. No. The reasons why I started the business the way I did and we work as hard as we do is because we work to live, we don't live to work. Okay? And whenever I worked in some other areas, they just expected us to live to work. They would expect us to work 60 to 84 hours a week. They were fine with us working in short bursts, and I say short bursts, 3 to 6 months like that. They would have us work like that, and then when the projects would start to come towards an end, they would lay us off, and then we'd be laid off. And there was a lot of uncertainty on that side of it because, yes, you made a lot of money in a short period of time, but when you're laid off, there's a lot of uncertainty. And then you have to wait to get that next phone call for the next job. And that was a lot of the things that, like I said, poor leadership. I didn't care for where I was at, and circles back around. I try to keep my guys consistent. I kind of try to give them as much information as possible, so that way they're ready for today, tomorrow, and the day after.
So in a sense, you've learned what not to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Has there been moments when your role as a dad or a father directly influenced a decision you made in your business?
All the time. There's times where we could have a project done probably that day if we stayed a little bit later, but I choose to tell my guys, hey, let's just wrap it up for the day. Let's go home so we can go home and enjoy our time with our families and our children.
You talked earlier about having to wear so many different hats. And when you get into the hurly-burly of all of this, how do you stay grounded? How do you stay present with your children and your wife?
Just a lot of patience on myself. I have to tell them I'm my hardest critic. And so when I think something should be going smoother or faster than what it is, I have to step back sometimes and tell myself, we're doing great, we're doing good. Slow down, embrace the moment. We'll make it through it. And that's probably honestly a lot of it.
Is that something that you've learned over time, or you've just gotten better at that as you're getting a little older? Or
a little of that, and also mentorship.
Oh yeah?
Yep. So I'm a firm believer on reaching out to others in my industry or just other business coaches. I've been fortunate that I'm not a shy guy. I'm very much I will ask random people on the internet. I'm big on going into certain groups that are in my business or other business groups, and if I see somebody that's successful, I'm not afraid to shoot them a message, ask them for a phone number, or ask them for an email, and I'll fire them off. I'll fire emails off in the middle of the night when I can't sleep some nights.
Yeah. Would you do that with do you have any parenting mentors?
So my father and I, we've grown extremely close over the years, and I can call him and vent or ask him for advice, and he'll answer me.
Yeah.
So that's helped, tremendously.
Yeah. Not a lot of guys have that, so that's good that you still have that resource.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say that what's one parenting lesson that stuck with you and continued to shape how you lead at home and at work?
This is one question that I read earlier that I was trying to answer and answer honestly. I don't know. Like I said, I'm such a hard critic on myself that, I'm always trying to be there for my children as much as possible. And I honestly don't care if my children call me in the middle of the day because they left their book bag at home or they left this, that, or left that. I just try to stay as readily accessible to my children to help them along, to be as successful, so they can be as successful as they can be.
Yeah. So have you had any challenges with a 13-year-old daughter yet?
Not yet, to be honest. My daughter, she's fabulous. And I think it's because I've dedicated so much time, myself and her mother have dedicated so much time to her that she knows that she can come to us and ask us anything, and we'll answer her honestly. And we've just kept such good communication between her and my son. Like, I just feel like we're extremely blessed and fortunate in the scenario that we're in.
Yeah. Well, it always helps when you have a good partner to help things, especially when
Absolutely.
you are raising a daughter.
Absolutely.
Now, I know that both of your children are like into sports. Were you a sporty fellow when you were younger?
Not one bit, actually. I was a troubled teen. I was ornery. Um, I was the complete opposite, and that's why I think I push so hard on them now to be where they are.
What was your turning point?
I honestly wanted better for them than what I had. My parents divorced early whenever I was younger, and my mother made some pretty poor choices. My father did as well. There was a time period where I didn't have a relationship with either one of them.
Oh, that's hard.
Yep. My grandfather raised me a little bit whenever I was younger, and seeing him and my grandmother and their relationship and how they were so caring and there was so much unconditional love in that household. I wanted that for my own four walls.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. So do you think that the way that your parents' relationship played out or didn't play out impacted the way you parent?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And my wife, she had a similar situation with her parents divorcing, and I think, we've had our ups and downs, and I'm 38 years old, and my wife and I have been together almost 20 together, and I think we both knew what we wanted before we started our journey as parents.
In other words, you both sort of knew that you didn't want it the way it was when you were coming up.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So in your life, there seems to be a pattern of you learning things that you don't want to have and then making something better out of that.
Absolutely. When I was younger, I could care less about my grades. I could care less about being in school. And when I became a young adult, I was thirsty to learn. And I'm always trying to learn from others and just read and do as much as possible in my free time. So I'm always on the journey to get better.
That's beautiful. That's really awesome. What advice do you think you would give to other dads who are maybe thinking about starting a business of their own while also trying to raise a family?
Definitely reach out and find some mentors. Definitely ask for advice before just jumping into it. Having the right people in your corner just to bounce ideas off of, that helps dramatically. You're going to have a lot of naysayers at the beginning. People thought I was absolutely crazy leaving a good job, great benefits to start a fence business.
It's just like going from certainty to uncertainty.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I knew in my heart, like, there was an opportunity and I knew I could fulfill that. And so that's what pushed me so hard to do what I'm doing today.
At what point did you have that moment when you knew for certain this was the right choice?
Again, I tested the waters from 2017 to 21. I didn't do fencing every weekend or every evening, but I would take on smaller projects and I would learn, what made me money, what didn't make me money, what was worth my time, what wasn't worth my time. Just having that interaction with people, honestly. And when I was ready to pull the trigger and actually go out on my own, I feel like I sharpened myself to the point where I knew I wasn't going to fail.
I love the fact that you're a self-studier and a self-teacher. Do you have any books or anything that was particularly meaningful to you that you might want to recommend?
Oh, God. There's so many books. Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad.
Hill.
Yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I listen to Dave Ramsey forever. I got my, and that's something else, is before I jumped off into this entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur, I really honestly got my four walls in order. We got debts down that we had.
Oh, yeah.
I had money that I put away, a fully funded fund. And
Smart.
so that way, whenever I took this leap, I wasn't backed into a corner with debts and then taking on more debts to and that's are always going to be around. I mean, that's rich dad, poor dad, leverage other people's money to make more money. But really, honestly, Profit First is another good book that I've learned. It goes on, and I'm willing to talk to people if they reach out. They can email me, trustedfencing@gmail.com. I'm willing to talk with people and text and back and forth. I do that with other fence contractors and some other small businesses right now. Actually, just I learn from them as much as they learn from me.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
It does, absolutely.
Right. But I think it's beautiful that you're willing to be a mentor for some that might actually potentially be your competitors.
Oh, yeah. So believe it or not, one of the first guys that kind of gave me some mentorship. My business is probably 600 yards or so away from his business. We are in the same complex. We both own fence businesses. I was posting about some jobs I did, and he was criticizing me and giving me a bit of a hard time about it. And so instead of blowing up or saying something back to him negative or anything like that, I said, well, what did I do wrong? And so he answered. And so then I started asking him questions. Hey, I've got this going on. What should I do here? And he would answer. And I don't know if he realizes how much he kind of helped me at the beginning. But by doing so, it's kind of funny because we both compete against each other all the time on the same projects.
Yeah.
And I see that as a blessing, actually, more so than a curse. And here's the reasons why, is that the material cost what they cost. The labor is going to cost pretty much the same. I mean, if you have guys working for you and you are paying them a livable wage, not day wages or anything like that, our prices aren't far apart. So what comes down to it is, how do we sell that job to that client? What are we doing a little different than what they're doing? And so that helps keep the market up where it should be, not dropping the bottom out. And we're not cutting each other's throats on our pricing.
Right. So I did want to ask you about the skill set required to build a fence, which is totally different than the skill set to be an electrician, right?
So, well, not really. I mean, there's a lot of the principles I had to learn when I was going through my apprenticeship at Canadian Valley Votech on how to run pipe, how to do this, how to do that. A lot of those principles still run and play into building fence.
I see.
And the reasons why I chose to go into fence instead of opening up an electrical company was that I found that the labor is more readily available. Okay? I can take somebody that has no fence experience, and I can basically give them a crash course in 3 to 6 months, and they can build a fence start to finish to my standards.
Wow.
Where as an electrician, you have to do at least 8,000 hours before you could get, which is 4 years.
My goodness.
And so many guys I knew in the electrical field, they wanted to be their own bosses, and they kind of wanted to be, they were more kind of gung-ho on starting their own businesses. And where the guys that are working for me now, I'm not saying they don't want to start their own businesses or they're not, go-getters or anything, but if they are, I'm willing to wish them off and wish them the best of luck. It's quicker and faster for me to find somebody else to replace them, train them up, and keep what I'm doing moving forward.
Do you ever consider doing classes to teach people how to do these fences?
Absolutely. I've talked with some mentors that do have some fence academies and some coaching classes and everything.
Yeah.
And while that is very much on the front of my scope of work to do, I value being a father first. And it kind of circles back. When my kids are out of the house and they're doing their own thing and we're empty nesters, then I'll be more inclined to travel and teach and coach and do stuff of that nature. But right now, I really want to stay grounded and stay close to home and be so available to my children.
So are you thinking that this fencing company is going to be it for the rest of your life, or you think you're going to expand into other areas? Or?
Absolutely not. So since we've got the fence company, I've also got rental property And
There you go.
And then now we are considering working towards becoming a supply house.
What does that mean?
So I'll sell materials straight to other contractors instead of, I don't need to win every job. There's the city of Moore, primarily where we work. There's roughly 70,000, citizens in that area. There's so much work there that there's no way I could fulfill all that. Even with the crew I have, and even if I hired a bunch more guys, there's plenty of work out there for a lot. Now I'm trying to take my money and leverage it towards becoming like a supply house. So if they need fence stain or if they need post or any product that they can't just readily go get, we'd have it to sell it directly to them.
So tell me a little bit more about being a parent and being a business owner. Are you involving your children in the business? Are you going to teach them the business?
So right now, I am pushing them towards what they love. Okay, my daughter, she's kind of all over the place right now. I've asked her, like, what do you want to plan to do? Are you planning on going to college? She's back and forth on becoming a photographer or a psychologist, and I'm like, well, baby, you've kind of got to figure out, do you need to be taking these AP classes or do you need to go towards media? So we're working through that. We're figuring that out. My son thinks he's going to go play soccer or become an attorney. So it's like, you definitely need to have AP classes and you definitely need to be, So while, yes, I would love for one of them to take over the business one day and keep it going, I also don't want to hinder them from their dreams.
Right.
And so, I've been working with my CPA and I've been working with the bankers and all those guys to get my business ready to sell for when I'm ready to retire. That's not necessarily my end goal. I'm trying to prepare myself for, do we sell? Do we do a family business? Or do I have a guy that wants to take over? Because I'm a firm believer that if I have an employee that his heart's in it, he wants to take over and I can turn the reins over and let them have it, we could work a deal on that side of it, because I want those guys to also have something that they're working towards for them and their family and their legacies.
I love that. That makes you a great employer.
I try. I really do try. My four walls I'm not so worried about at this point in my career, to be honest with you.
What do you mean by your four walls?
My wife and my children.
Okay.
Now at the stage of business where I'm at, I am concerned for the gentlemen that give me their time, their hearts, their souls. They come to work for me every day, and now I'm trying to make sure that we're taking care of their four walls.
So if you don't mind my observing, it sounds like you're being a father to your employees a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The gentlemen that work for me now, they're average 10 years or so younger than me. And so I'm trying to guide them through life as well and trying to get them set up to be good fathers, good role models.
That's awesome.
I feel like that's a better legacy to leave.
Absolutely. Than a bunch of money, perhaps.
Than a bunch of money. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Alan, we're coming to the end of the podcast. What do you want to tell the people about your company or yourself that we haven't covered?
Well, we've been in business now for going on 5 years. We're proudly serving the state of Oklahoma. Hopefully, when this government shutdown ends, we'll be actually getting guys and crews that are going to be traveling across the United States doing some government contracts. That's what we were working on before the shutdown happened. Like I said, I'm happy to answer people's questions by text message or by email.
And tell us again how they can get in touch with you.
So the email would be trustedfencing@gmail.com.
Okay.
My cell phone number is 405-625-5904.
Okay. And you have a website.
We do, www.trustedfencecompany.com.
Okay.
So we help so many people in so many ways, and that's really what keeps us going, I think, honestly. It's not about just the money. It's about building the relationships and giving back to the community.
Wow. I think you could say the same thing about parenthood.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. The parenting side of it is what I work so hard for.
this is kind of a hard question as I try to formulate it. Do you derive? We obviously derive a lot of satisfaction from being parents. We also derive a lot of satisfaction from being successful in our businesses and careers. Do you see those two as competing with each other, or are they all one complementary?
At this point in my life, I think they're complementary. Because I put my family first. You know, the business in my eyes comes second. So, I mean, I've made it work to where the business is not my main priority. Where I see a lot of people in the industries across the board, they seem to forget their home life. And I encourage them to stop. You can always make more money. You can always make, moves and everything, but you can't ever make up time. Time's the only thing that we have that's so finite that we can't replace.
Absolutely. Very well said. A very wealthy person once told me that if money is all you ever want, money is all you will ever have.
Absolutely.
And I agree with that.
I've met with some people that were extremely wealthy, well-to-do, and their stories being they had very poor relationships with their kids, and if they could take it back,
Yes.
they would.
Yes.
And so that stuck with me pretty hard. And so I don't need to be rich. I need my kids. I need my wife.
I would say that you are rich.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is the Forge Your Trail podcast. I'm Frank Rodriguez, your host. Our guest today has been Mr. Alan Boulding, who has created Trusted Fence Company in Moore, Oklahoma. Alan, thank you so very much for being our guest today. I think this is one of my favorite podcasts that we've done.
I appreciate y'all's time. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.